Siomrabiog.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sherlock, Listen, the podcast that takes a pop at culture. Sherlock, listen.
Sherlock, listen.
Sherlock, listen.
Sherlock, listen.
Sherlock, listen.
Sherlock, listen.
Sherlock, listen. Ooh, happy first episode of Spookoween, Ben's favourite 5-week time of the year when we have to do horror-themed shit for 5 whole weeks. Because there's always 5 fucking Tuesdays in October. Ooh. So look, Benjamin, we've no time to be complaining about the Julian calendar. Is this a Julian calendar? Is that what this one is? Doesn't matter.
Julian calendar?
We've no time for it. We've no time to be complaining about it because we've got loads of stuff to look at, including Joker, Floppe a Jew. No one's seen it. No one seems to care. But the people who have seen it seem to hate it. Speaking of people hating things, Benjamin, I hate your typing. The way, for example, on screen, you've typed out Variety Superfans. I think what you meant to write was Variety. Everybody's favorite and most trusted internet news source have reported that Hollywood is shipping in busloads of superfans to tell them what they're doing wrong. And speaking of doing things wrong, Benjamin, we got a trailer for a new film, The Franchise, which seems to be making fun of Hollywood for doing things wrong.
Sure, listen, Michael, if that wasn't enough, you're right. It's my favourite 5 Tuesdays of the year.
Ooh.
Michael, no great horror fan am I, but this is the one time of year I force myself to sit through all the spooky shit I can find.
Spooky shitoween.
Now, Michael, if I have to shit my trousers
Yeah.
on national broadcasting, I'd rather do it in short, sharp bursts, in shorts, if you were. So this week, what I've done is, this is the worst intro I've ever done.
That's
That was
awful. That's an awful
Why did I
image.
say that? Why did I say that?
Why did you say that,
ladies and
Ben?
gentlemen? That was awful. I'm so sorry. That was too Johnny's level of content, ladies and gentlemen. I may retire from podcasting.
I'll tell you what, lads.
Oh, do you know what I love? Do you know what I love, Johnny? I was out in Coppers last night and I shat myself.
Oh yeah, short, sharp chat.
Short, sharp chat. You know what they say? Shit, sharp shave, short, sharp chat. This will be the most listened to part of this podcast as well, which is really sad. Come here to me.
What? What is it?
Listen, Michael.
What is it?
There's nothing better than when you're clicking through YouTube and all of a sudden you see a very eerie looking thumbnail and you click on it and you spend the next 8 to 12 minutes with a creeping, ever-growing sense of dread that lodges itself in your soul for the rest of the week and makes it just slightly uncomfortable when something in your house creaks in the middle of the night and you go, oh, it's that fucking weird creature I saw on YouTube. I fucking know it is.
I thought you meant the wife.
What?
A bit of 70s humor for you there.
2 Johnnies or misogynistic 70s comedy. Take your pick,
What do
ladies
you
and
want?
gentlemen. It's all here on Sherlock.
We've got pale imitations of it all.
But Michael, what we actually did was we went out to Reddit and we went out to Instagram and we went out to TikTok. You can all find it linked below in the description there, ladies and gentlemen. And we asked them, what are the best horror shorts you've seen in the last couple of years? And Michael, we got a fucking overwhelming response from people. It was great stuff altogether.
Well, it was horrifying stuff altogether, but that's what we asked for. So, that's on us.
Yeah, 5 Tuesdays in October. I won't sleep a wink for any of them. I'll be fucking up and wired, keeping my eye out for ugly buggly things that thump along floors and all the other shenanigans. But we got loads of great suggestions from folks across the internet, and it was fun stuff,
Well, it wasn't fun, was it? It was absolutely fucking horrifying, Benjamin. Earlier on, you said
Absolutely horrifying.
There's nothing better than when you're creeping through YouTube at night and you click on a horror short. There is one thing better, Ben. It's when you don't do that.
Go on.
You just go to bed.
Yeah.
You go to bed.
Yeah. Do you know what is true?
Pants unshitted.
I believe the correct form is unshat.
No, that's what the British say, but that's not the correct thing.
Michael, come here to me. Do you know what is truly horrifying?
The number of reviews we have for this podcast.
Ah, Michael, I lay it down, you pick it up. Well done. Well done. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I weep in terror in the middle of the night like an Edgar Allan Poe short story. It's called The Tale of the Telltale Review. And And it's because we haven't got any great reviews on Spotify, on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts. But you, ladies and gentlemen, can deliver me from my greatest terror. And you can leave us a review wherever you listen. That would be fucking fabulous.
Hop up there. Give us a 5-star review. Give us a 4.5-star review if you insist, but don't give us a 4-star review because then we'll find you.
And Michael, come here to me. Look, I know there's new listeners because I can see the stats, and we're actually doing all right.
Yeah, we know who you are.
Since we've done our format change.
We know who you are. We know what your names
we're
are.
doing all right.
We have your IP addresses. Do we have their IP addresses, Ben?
No,
we don't have your
We'll
IP
pretend
addresses. That was
we
an
do.
empty threat, but don't let that affect the review. Still do the review.
5 stars, or we'll think badly of
Benjamin.
You anonymous so-and-so.
You know what I love? I love sitting down for a horror. Sitting down for a nice creepy horror. And then having like a spooky, scary little moment. And then spending the next 8 to 10 hours having that spooky, scary little moment explained into oblivion. So that by the end of the horror, it's not really scary anymore. It's just, an issue to be dealt with.
Yeah, Michael, there's nothing better than having all the mystery, enigma, and tension you've built around an entity just vanish up into the air. That's my favorite bit of horror films, Michael, is when we drag it out. It's great.
The scariest Friday the 13th is Friday the 13th, part 19, Jason's Anatomy.
Yeah. Because he's still terrifying. He's still such an enigma. Nah, we're only joking, Michael. One of the reasons that we've done this episode, and one of the reasons I think that horror shorts strike such a chord, Michael, is because they're an almost perfect vehicle for horror.
Oh, go on. I'd love to hear more about that, Ben. About 8 minutes worth or so.
Yes, Michael's placed a leash about my neck, ladies and gentlemen, and not in the good sense.
No, not like that was last night, Ben.
He's placed a constraint upon me that I have to give this in 8 minutes. But ladies and gentlemen, there's a reason that horror shorts resonate so well. And one of the core reasons for that is the bloody ambiguity of them, Michael.
Ambi-Gs, that's what we call that in this podcast.
Ambi-Gs. It's got a great ambi-Gs about it. But come here to me. There is something very unnerving about the unknowable entities that we find in a lot of horror shorts. A lot of horror shorts are based around an ugly buggly.
Some sort of creepily weepily.
Yeah, some sort of creepily weepily, as we'll see as we go through these, Michael. And one of the things that makes them so unnerving and so distinct is that we know virtually nothing about them. And very, very often in a horror short, and spoilers for the genre here, ladies and gentlemen, but very, very often, as soon as the monster is revealed, as we get a look at it, the short generally ends at that point.
Yes, exactly. The Jaws effect, except, Jaws doesn't do that. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. So we get that great moment where directors, writers, movie makers force our minds to fill in the blanks, essentially. We get the faintest glimpse of a monster. One short in particular, Michael, does this to great effect on the show today. And we get a glimpse of the monster, and that's it. Then we cut to blank, and we're just left to fill in all the eerie, distinct, horrific possibilities that might come with that.
No, I'd like to really focus in on the monster's origin, though. Could we get a prequel, maybe? The origin of the monster. What caused it? What are its wants?
Because I think that's one of the great flaws of modern cinema, Michael, is we did come up, and we've talked about this extensively on this podcast, Michael. We did come up with the idea for a while there of sympathy for the monster.
Oh, yeah, go on.
Where we did origin stories and stuff for monsters.
Annabelle Origins.
But Michael.
What?
I don't want origins for my monsters. I just want them to be creepy and scary.
Just creepy and scary, spooky, and then fuck off.
Yeah, fuck that. But Michael, that idea of ambiguity goes all the way back to the earliest days of kind of horror fiction as a genre. And one guy that I've spoken about at length here is none other than Nathaniel Hawthorne, Michael. He's back.
He's fucking back. Oh, God.
Old Nathan Hall.
I thought we were free of him, but he's back.
Nah, Michael. So he was writing in the early 19th century. We're talking settlement days, baby.
Settlement where?
Somewhere in the States.
Okay. He's American.
It's not like
He's
Mayflower
American
days.
fella.
Yeah, he's American. Yeah. He's not. But he was obsessed with the settling of America, the Mayflower era of America. And one of his favorite genres, Michael, was if you go down in the woods today, you'll be corrupted by an unknowable dark entity. That's probably the devil
Or a goat.
or a goat. Now, Michael, he was the man who really embraced the notion of, I don't know what's going on here. That ambiguity, or ambigues as we call
That's
it,
what we
Michael,
call it.
is fucking unnerving. Fucking awful.
Yeah, what's that? Don't know. Ugh.
In fairness to him, he left an indelible mark on the world of certainly American horror in the notion of the deep dark wood where nothing good lurks.
Mm.
And we see that played out across American fiction again and again and again, but particularly in modern iterations like, for example, Over the Garden Wall.
Oh, you and Over the Garden Wall.
I fucking love Over the Garden Wall, Michael. Great stuff. Great stuff. It's delightful. Such a good show.
Very horrifying.
Perfect for this time of year.
Tobey Maguire.
So spooky. Elijah Wood, but still.
Same.
But still. But yeah, we also saw, iterations of that done by good old Robbie Eggers, Michael.
Oh, yeah.
In his bloody one, The Witch.
That was a goat.
Remember? Yeah, Black Phillip, the goat.
Yeah. Or was he the
Black
devil?
Phillip the goat.
I think he might have been
But
the devil, Ben, to be honest.
I think he was probably the devil.
I think he was.
Probably the devil. Ladies and gentlemen, fun little survival tip for you if you don't want your soul corrupted. When you hear a whispering voice in the dark that says, "Wouldst thou like to live viciously?" You should probably say no.
No, I'm all
no,
right.
thank you.
I'm all right. Did you say would I like a cup
No,
of tea?
thank you.
Did you? Yes, to cup of tea. No, to live deliciously. Sorry, I've got waxy build-up. So, which one was it that you said? Are you a goat, by the way? Because that also questions.
Am I being tempted by a fucking goat? Michael, how much time have I got left?
You've got 3 minutes.
Fucking hell. Right, the other thing that makes shorts so bloody fucking useful for horror is the fact that they are short.
The best thing.
Yeah, I mean, in our modern culture, Michael, we are losing the attention span that we used to have by the day. You're probably watching this podcast on TikTok or Instagram, ladies and gentlemen, in a short form. And that's the way we consume content today. But I think in terms of horror, Michael, there was a serious moment there back in the 90s where we were primed for this kind of thing. And there's two particular shows, I think, that primed an entire generation of people for short horror.
Oh, sorry, Ben, I wasn't listening. I stopped paying attention because of my attention span.
Well, that's all right. That's all right. One of the ones that scarred me for life, Michael, and I've spoken about it every once in a while, was a show that first aired very fittingly on October 31st, 1990, and it was called Are You Afraid of the Dark? Remember that?
Yeah, I wasn't, though, because I'm tough. I'm a big tough boy.
Yeah, you're a big tough boy. But yeah, Are You Afraid of the Dark was an anthology series, Michael, that ran for 10 years. And the framing premise was great. It was around the Midnight Society. And the Midnight Society was a group of kids that told ghost stories around a campfire. Again, a very all-American form of horror.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
We're not doing
It's too
that.
fucking
Get
cold out.
wrecked. It's too fucking cold,
It's windy
lads.
as
It's
fuck.
bloody
It's
October.
always damp.
Jesus. You catch your death out there. Jesus Christ. Running around listening to goats in the middle of the night as if you've nothing better to be
You've
doing.
nothing better to be doing, for God's sake. There might be banshees.
There might be banshees or pookas.
Oh.
We'll get to that later.
Oh.
Fucking hell. But come here to me, Michael. That was one. That scarred me for life. But that was an anthology series with a monster of the week that very, very handily leveraged the wonderful world of the ambiguous monster that you didn't see until it was too fucking late.
Because they didn't have the budget to do the monster, Ben.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other major one, Michael, as many people will have beaten me to the punch here, was a show that kind of realized how valuable that would be
Gooseberries.
as a format. Gooseberries or Goosebumps, based on the stories of R.L. Stein, Michael. And that ran from 1995 to 1998. Remarkably short-lived, but remarkably impactful as a thing. I still remember the creepy dummy from bloody Goosebumps.
I don't. I didn't watch it, Ben. I think I was the wrong demographic.
You probably were, Michael. You were probably a little too old at that point.
No, it's just
but
too
Michael,
big and tough.
those were primed for me.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, they ruined me. They used to air it on the Den. Are You Afraid of the Dark at 6 p.m.
Oh,
you used to get Are You Afraid of the Dark, and it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, and it would be dark in the winter.
Yeah, but I think those shows primed an entire generation with an appetite for short, sharp horror.
Short, sharp horror, Ben. Let's get down to it.
Let's get down to it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what I recommend you do with this episode is, if you take a look down there in that description,
Go on.
you'll find a link to a playlist on our YouTube channel
Ooh.
called Cursed Shorts.
Ooh, spooky.
And ladies and gentlemen, it has nothing to do with malevolent holiday wear, and all to do with short form horror content.
Malevolent holiday wear. That's very good. Benjamin, you
Yeah.
hopped up on the Reddit the other day and you asked people for their favorite shorts. And I tell you what, you got fucking inundated.
Drowned in fucking responses, Michael.
Bombarded. You got pelted with short shots of horror. Anyway,
Short shorts.
one person, though, one commenter on the Reddit, you might have the name, but I don't. But one commenter on the Reddit gave a gorgeous explanation of why shorts are the best form of horror. It's the best summation in a single sentence of why shorts are the most effective way to present horror. And they said that it's like handing over a nightmare.
Yeah,
Great.
And that was a fucking great one. That was Hiding on Stage was the name of the user. And yeah, I think they work because they're often just the exploration of a scary idea, he said, or they said, sorry, I don't like to presume gender, without having to give them a full narrative or explanation. It's like handing over a nightmare. What a fucking phrase, Mike.
Great phrase, very poetic. Well done, Reddit user, hiding on stage.
Nathaniel Hawthorne is in his grave going, fuck, that's great.
I should have thought of that.
Jesus.
I wish I'd thought of that.
Oh,
I'm such a fucking idiot.
Edgar Allan Poe.
Nathaniel Hawthorne was big on the
going,
negative self-talk, Ben. It's a big problem.
He was. It was very unfortunate. Yeah. It's very unfortunate. His devil in the woods was self-criticism.
Yeah,
Michael.
That's what Black Peter represented.
That's
Benjamin, talk about the fucking shorts. Get on it.
Michael, the first and most upvoted one that we got on that Reddit thread was Portrait of God by Dylan Clark.
Tell you what. Very good.
Oh, it's fucking great, Michael. This is, I think, one of the strongest, most original, yet steeped in literary trope kind of horror shorts I've seen in years. Portrait of God is based around exactly what the title says, a portrait of God.
Benjamin, this has a lot of my favorite horror tropes. First of all, cursed object. Love it.
Yeah, fucking cursed objects are great.
Cursed object, but even the subgenre of cursed object, which I prefer, cursed media. Oh, I love cursed media.
Yeah.
I think my love of cursed media stems from the fact that The Ring was one of the very few films to truly frighten me as a young adult. I love.
Yeah. Don't watch that fucking videotape.
Don't watch that videotape, and whatever you do, don't look at a projection of what might just be a blank screen, but which some people see as a portrait of God. Or is it God?
I mean, Michael, this is fantastic. It's selective horror infection. It's selective madness. It's a little bit cosmic horror.
Little bit.
Which we both love. This had great English. This is The King in Yellow, Michael, which we've spoken about at length. A cursed object just infecting certain people. And it's done so simply and so beautifully. This was published 2 years ago by a gentleman called Dylan Clark, Michael.
We don't know if he's a gentleman. He could be an absolute arsehole.
He could be an absolute prick, but I'm going to say he's all right.
Yeah, he's probably sound enough, but I mean, we don't know.
He's probably sound enough, Michael. But this builds perfectly, Michael. This is a young biblical scholar, by the looks of her.
Possibly, yeah.
Who is rehearsing her class presentation, essentially, her college presentation on an infamous portrait, Michael. And the portrait is a portrait of God. And it does so many things well. It does dramatic lighting because she's only lit by the presentation on the old school pull-down screen. Yeah. It does found media clips like the Blair Witch Project of different people who've reacted to the portrait.
Yeah.
You know, it does... Michael, the best bit about this is it sets your expectation from the get-go because it gives you a quote from the Bible that says, "No man shall see me and live," from Exodus 33:20. And from that second onwards, Michael, we know exactly what's going to happen.
Is it Exodus
This
or
poor
Ezekiel?
fucking young one.
Is it Exodus? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great
This-
as well because
this
it leans into the whole trope of you can't set your eyes upon God and not go mad, which I love. But also, away from imagery and tone and spiritualism and that whole genre of horror, this does one of my most favorite horror tricks, which is it looks you dead in the eye and says, "Come here, look here for a little while. Something spooky's gonna happen." And you go,
Yeah.
"Oh, you bastard. Oh, you big
Yeah.
bastard. I have to look there for a little while,
yeah.
do I? What's with this low harmonic rumbling sound? That's making me feel on edge." One thing I really got from all of these shorts was the importance of audio design in horror. A lot of these shorts
Oh, Michael.
a lot of these shorts wouldn't be horrors if you played happy music over them.
Not even a little bit. Like they wouldn't work as well. Sound design is fucking essential. There's two great resources for that, Michael, if you want to investigate that further, ladies and gentlemen. One of the shorts that we look at today is by a guy called Pony Smasher. That's his username on YouTube. And he's gone on to direct big Hollywood movies,
No,
Michael.
go on.
But he did a great video essay a couple of years ago on the absolute essential nature of sound design in horror. And then there's another fantastic short featurette on the music and score behind the Hannibal TV show
Oh yeah.
on, I think it was NBC. But the guy who wrote that score created a specific instrument. I think he called it the nightmare organ or something.
Mhm.
But he designed a specific tool to create horrific, inhuman soundscapes. And Michael, they're essential in this. And it's done so effectively. This is low budget, but it feels like the most cinematic production you've ever witnessed in your life. And the thing that will stick in my fucking head till my end of days, Michael, is those two little pinpricks of fucking light.
Two little pinpricks of light that move ever so slightly. That is the horror in this. Now, I made the mistake of watching this on a dirty screen. Now, it was just Ben Commoner Garden. It wasn't Spunk. It was just Commoner Garden,
Yeah.
Build up, let's say. And the first time I watched this,
Jism. Yeah.
I couldn't tell if there was something on the screen. So I had to go and get a screen wipe and wipe down the screen and watch it again. And then it was even more frightening because I was like, I think there is something there. I thought I was imagining it the first time, but I think there might be something. Is this happening to me? And it wasn't Spunk.
Yeah.
Just to
I
repeat.
mean, it wasn't Spunk, but it might have been. But come here to me.
Awesome.
Like, again, it also taps into a lot of zeitgeist memory and Western kind of horror ideas. Like you said, you can't look at God without going mad. That's a cosmic horror trope in itself. That's straight out of Lovecraft. Like, you cannot comprehend beings from other realities without going fucking spare. But it's also like Greek myth. The myth of Semele and Zeus is a great example of that. Semele is the mother of Dionysus, and she falls in love with Zeus, and Zeus falls in love with her. And Hera tricks Semele into making Zeus make a promise to give her whatever she wants. And then to test her love, Semele asks to see him in his true form. And Zeus goes, "Oh, no. I can give you anything but that." And she's like, "No, that's what I want to see."
Uh-oh.
And he's like, "Oh, bollocks." And he does it, and she gets burnt to a cinder because you cannot comprehend the true form of God.
Yeah. Serves her right.
And it's done beautifully in this, Michael, because we're left with the lingering image of a poor girl clutching a cross, fucking bleeding from her eyeballs in her hand. And my favorite subtle nuanced thing of this is it's been 7 minutes of utter torture for us, but when you look down at her phone she was using to time her presentation, it's been 3 hours and 30 minutes for her.
Gross and horrible. Benjamin.
Gross and horrible.
The next one is called Where's My Dog?
Where's My Dog? Michael, this one chilled me to my fucking core.
This one is incredible. This is amazing. First of all, Ben, because you put the... Oh, go on. Tell us about who made it and who wrote it and all that other jazz.
So this one comes to us, Michael. This is this year. This is brand new. It just debuted at a film festival, and it was thrown into us by a guy who said that a lot of people hadn't seen it, and it was kind of a new thing, and not a lot of people had come about it. But yeah, so it's from a YouTube channel called Director's Notes, and it's directed by a guy called Rob Price.
What's it called?
It's called Strangers.
Strangers.
It's called Strangers.
Yeah. Ben, first of all, because you put these on a playlist, it uses almost the same low harmonic bass as the previous one.
Yeah.
So one of them, when
Yeah.
I was watching, one of them faded out and the other one faded straight in. It was like I was in an episode of
Yeah.
Black Mirror. But the horror of this one is that it's actually not really a horror.
Not at all. Not at all. It's mental illness and the fear of other people. Hell is other people, Mike.
Hell is other people, Benjamin. So a normal woman, is walking her normal dog on a normal morning, and then
Yes.
as she's going along, she's talking to someone on the phone, and she's just doing normal woman things, and she meets a man. Now,
Yeah.
he's not a normal man, he's
Yeah.
a German man.
German and or Eastern European and or Dutch.
I think I think he was German. Let's just go with German. Might have been Austrian
Okay,
or
let's go with
Swiss.
German. Yeah.
And he's lost his dog.
He's lost it. Did he?
Did he?
Did he, Michael?
Did he?
That's the question.
Did he?
Did he?
Did he? He might have.
Did he?
He might have.
Dum diddy dum diddy. No, he didn't.
He might have.
So I think what's so unnerving about this, Michael, is there's a relatability to this in that many of us as humans have been caught in awkward conversations with people who are not the same as us.
Yeah. Should do a podcast.
And we've gone, oh, fuck. I'm going to have to talk to this person now. But what Rob Price is doing in this with Molly is the woman, Molly is the dog, and the fella isn't given a name. He's the stranger. But he's tapping into a whole bunch of things. I can only imagine, Michael, that this resonates maybe a little bit more with a female audience than it might with a male audience.
Go on.
In that there is probably an extra level of terror and fear to this for women who watch this, who have been trapped in conversations with strange men alone in places and gone, oh, fuck.
Yeah, I just beat him up, Ben.
Oh,
That's the problem for me.
That's the problem for you. Not the women, Michael. You would beat up a man, a strange man.
Yeah, I'd beat this guy up.
I'd like to clarify that in the podcast.
Yeah.
This guy in particular.
Yeah. Probably doesn't deserve it, but
Oh,
I might go to jail.
he probably doesn't. We don't know. There's no villain in this.
Now, the villain is society, I guess.
The villain is possibly society. Michael, this is what the movie Joker wanted to be.
But with more laughing.
I watched this and went, this is the best examination. It's horrific, but it's not a horror. There's no supernatural element. There's no actual malice displayed, but it is one of the most chilling things I've ever watched, because we watch Claire as she goes through this conversation with a stranger who is mentally unwell.
Yeah.
I think that's the most we can say. Yeah. That's the most we can say for certain. I don't think he has a dog. I think his dog is long gone.
Yeah, he might, though.
He might, though, and we just don't know. But we watch this situation spiral out of control, Michael, and we watch the terror build in Claire as she has a war between empathy for this man who is clearly suffering and fear for her own preservation and for her dog. And Michael, I have never been so terrified as when a man threw a fucking tennis ball and a dog disappeared. I went, oh, fuck me. If anything has happened to Molly, Michael, I will flip my fucking computer into the air and not do
Well, you
this
put
episode.
this on the playlist, so I was going to go after you, to be honest. On the assumption, on the assumption that you've made sure there's no dogs harmed in this playlist.
That's fair. Like, this only has, Michael, 694 views at the time of recording. Ridiculous, because it's so high end and it's so good.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That's the mystery of this thing. The man comes and goes. He tells a horrific story about finding a dead boy.
Yeah, we've completely spoiled it now, obviously, because not knowing what's going.
That's why I said watch them before we do this. Pause it at each section, ladies and gentlemen. There's timestamps in the episode. So watch the shorts, then listen to our commentary on it. But I think what makes it so effective, Michael, is, again, there's no villain, but we're waiting because we've been primed by horror to expect malice or to expect something awful. And it just holds us in that tense place.
It's great. It's just,
we just get stuck there.
It's well written. It's well shot. It's two people and a dog in a field. It doesn't rely on dramatic acting. So I think even two non-actors might have been able to pull this off, but the two actors who are in it do a great job at the same time. It's just very good. I think it's my favorite discovery of this set. It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite one, but my favorite one I'd seen before. I think this was my new favorite.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, Michael, the thing that will sear into my brain is where he takes a picture of
Yeah.
Claire, the stranger, because she's the first person to show him empathy,
Or the first person to believe
and
him.
he wants proof. Yeah, he wants proof of her empathy, and he takes a picture of her, and the expression that the actress who plays Claire puts onto her face of abject, confounded horror
Yeah.
will stay with me
Yeah.
for weeks.
Yeah.
Like, it's phenomenal. It's so fucking
And
good.
probably resonates you, Ben,
I
because
put
of your backup hobby of street photography. When women look at you
Yeah.
like that all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Presumably.
People look at me like that all the time. Presumably.
Anyway,
Presumably,
what's
Michael.
next?
What's next then? Oh, this is the one that got to me, Michael, the most. Fucking Opal.
Oh, oh,
Ah.
Ben, I hate every second of this.
Ah.
This was one of those. So this is a Adult Swim short by James
Yeah.
Sturgis.
Jack Stauber is the name of the gentleman.
Close enough.
James Sturgis, though.
I don't know who that
Sounds like
is.
a real person.
Jack Stauber. And this is, it's fucking, I'm 17 years old. It's 1:30 in the night. Most of the channels have gone off air, which used to happen, Ben, before your time. And you just turn on one of the weird channels that's still on. And this is already started. And you end up watching it and going, what in the hell have I just watched?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like,
Psycho nightmare, mixed media plasticine horror freak show.
this is all. So Jack Stauber has done a few shorts.
Oh yeah.
But none as famous as this one. This is the one that's kind of made him, as it were. And it does, again, awful soundscape. Awful soundscape. But it does another thing that I talked about a little bit at the top of the episode, Michael. It taps into a weird nostalgia, the unintentional sinister nature of children's TV programming that goes over our heads as children, but as an adult, and we'll come to this a little bit later because we have a few other shorts on this that do this, Michael. Things you forget as a child that go over your head, but that sear themselves into your brain as an adult, and you watch that back and you go, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, that was horrifying.
What is
now,
this?
This is not for kids. This is not a kids animation, but it did
No.
immediately bring me to mind of the internet famous Adventures of Mark Twain, I think, where they meet Satan.
From 1985. Yeah.
It immediately brought me to mind of that with his claymation plasticine freakiness.
Yeah, because he's fucking awful. Like, that's a moment of true horror hiding in children's television. Like, that interaction, ladies and gentlemen, I'll link that down below in the description as well. If you've never seen it, I'm sure you have if you're listening to this podcast on this particular topic. But if you've never seen it, it's fucking horrific. A plasticine version of Mark Twain invites two children to talk to Satan.
Yeah.
And it's as awful as you'd imagine. It's really weird.
Ben,
but
it's more awful.
Michael, yeah, it's horrific. But Michael, this taps into that in an unholy level. This is a bizarre musical nightmare.
This one is the most like I've had a minor surgery. I'm on painkillers. I'm sleeping uncomfortably, and this has happened in my brain.
Yeah.
This is the most like that quote that we had earlier, handing over a nightmare. It's just, here's a nightmare coalesced, even down to simple things like the characters being played by actors, but with plasticine heads.
Yeah, like, that's such an old technique for cutting corners and stuff like that. But it's, Michael, this is horrific. So it's about a young character who we are led to believe is Opal.
She isn't though, is she?
She isn't though. And that's important. But there are 3 layers of hell to this, Michael. There's the blind smoker. There's the vain sibling, the vain narcissist,
No, that's her dad.
I guess. No, sorry, who's there's the grandfather, the dad, and the mum, isn't it? Isn't that how it works? Yeah, sorry. There's the grandfather, the dad, and the mum. So there's the blind smoker, the vain narcissist, and the depressed addict.
I guess.
If you're breaking it up. And what we don't understand is we are initially greeted into a world that is all, happiness. Now it's awful
It's
happiness.
just terrifying
It's
still.
Yeah, it's horrific, saccharine American dream, fucking celluloid happiness. It's awful, but it's not the worst part, and it sets up a very ominous tone because there's mum, dad, and granddad, and they're all happy, smiling, la 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 la
Yeah, but
la.
they're still terrifying
Um,
plasticine freaks.
Yeah. And then Opal, the main character, looks across to the neighbor's house, and the mum goes, "No, no, no, no. We don't look at the neighbor's house and we close it." And then, of course, Opal, as with all great children's fairy
Yeah,
tales, sneaks out, disobeys her parents, and goes over to the
yeah,
house, Michael,
like Coraline.
and is met with 3 horrific inversions of her family unit,
Mm.
which are the blind smoker, who is her grandfather,
Yeah,
and he is looking for someone called Claire.
yeah.
She goes up the stairs. She attempts to sneak past her room, and that's very important, and is stopped by a man made of mirrors.
Mm.
And then she eventually finds her way into the room, Michael, and she is then gripped by a flailing, addicted woman.
Yeah.
And of course, the horror of this, Michael, we realize is she's constantly moving towards a window, which is a classic literary horror trope, Michael. Open windows. Don't trust
Don't go
them.
near
No,
them.
no, no. But she looks out the window, Michael, and we find out there's no house across the street at all. There's only an advertisement for Opal Burgers.
Ben.
She is Claire, and she lives in a horrifically abusive environment. And the blind grandfather is her blind grandfather. The narcissistic abuser is her father. And the desperately coping mother is her actual mother. And it's horrific,
Horrible.
Michael. This is awful.
Horrible, unpleasant, incredible.
I had a subliminal reaction to this, Michael. I was watching this and I was trying to treat it with a critical brain, analyzing it and stuff like that. And as soon as it ended, my heart was fucking pounding in my chest. I had the fucking nerves in my fingers. I was like, oh, I've had a really subliminal reaction to that. This is fucking awful.
Oh, and I've shat myself.
Oh, and I've shot myself. Michael, this is fucking horrific.
Horrible stuff. Great. Fabulous. What's next?
Fabulous. Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff in a horrific sense. The Sky, Michael, is the next one by Matt Sears.
Right, go on.
And yeah, this one came out 2 years ago. No, 4 years ago. Sorry, 4 years ago, Michael. And this one is mad as well. It does that great thing again, Michael, of it's a very simple premise.
Go on.
Super fucking simple premise of 2 girls, presumably from some kind of working class British background.
Okay, right. Chavs, you want to say?
No, I get out of it. Leave me alone. Right?
2
They're
chavs, right?
sculling drinks. Yeah, they're sculling drinks where they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Acting the maggot. And they're sitting on a hillside in a couple of deck chairs. And they are having a time. And then they take mushrooms, Michael.
Yeah, shrooms.
Shrooms, as it were. And it starts to go a bit awry from then on, Michael. Because another classic horror thing, or another classic horror trope that we sometimes see is, actually, horror is always there. And sometimes we do something that opens up our perception to it. And once we've peeked behind the curtain, there's no going back. And that's kind of the heart of this particular short, Michael.
Is it?
Kind of. I think. Look, the heat of the reel of the jig is it ends up being a fraught kind of chase after that, and something seems to be going wrong in the world.
No, so hold on. I think you might have misread this a little bit. Now, I could be wrong, and I'd like to hear the listeners call me some
Go on.
sort of.
Yeah, go on.
I'd like to hear the listeners call me some sort of cuckold for interrupting you. But
No,
they are sitting
won't do that.
down to watch the end of the world.
Yes,
And that's
the apocalypse.
Sorry? Yeah, it's the apocalypse or the rapture
apocalypse.
or something.
The sky is falling.
Yeah.
That's why it's called the sky.
Well, the sky seems to be going up.
yeah, well,
But yeah.
Falling,
The sky
rising.
is falling. The world is ending, and they're 2 people from.
Yeah.
They don't have good relationships with their families, and they have decided to see out the end of the world together, basically, and
Yeah.
they've brought drugs into it. But what's really telling for me for this is when it came out, because this is COVID imagery down to the ground.
Yeah.
Like, who are
Yeah.
you stuck with? at the end of the world. 2019, two people in a found family witnessing the end
Yeah.
of the world, unable to or not allowed to reconnect with their families, coping with drugs and alcohol. I didn't find this one particularly scary. This one didn't shout horror to me. I like the concept, but it's I think a little bit too high concept sci-fi for me to count as proper horror.
Sure, I think this is probably what happens to the people who aren't the protagonists
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
cosmic
yeah,
horror
yeah.
movie. You know, this is like the two girls in this, Ellie and Victoria are their names. You know, they're just regular people and they're going to see out the end of the world. As you said, they're on the outs with their own family and they don't necessarily have a good time. But what happens is one of the girls, Ellie, realizes that she may not want to be on this hill dying with this person.
Mm,
This isn't necessarily what we want, and that's horrific for two reasons. Victoria thinks that she has found someone to die with,
yeah,
and Ellie realizes she has found the wrong person to die with, and so it's a horror from two different perspectives because Ellie leaves, and Victoria doesn't want her to. And that's kind of the crux of it. It's two people pulling away from each other. One is being pursued, like a classic horror movie thing of Final Girl being pursued by a thing. But in this case, there's no malice again. It's just someone who doesn't want to die alone.
yeah,
But there's a horror element to it in that sense.
yeah. And I mean,
It's
there's an
really
ambiguity
interesting.
as well of whether her mother was really there or not, and how much of what happened truly happened.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's not actually the end of the world. Maybe this is all part of the drug hallucination, and there's an ambiguity in the dialogue that
Yeah.
you can read into it, and you're certainly intended to read into it that this is actually the end of the world. But it might have just been a storm.
It could have just been a storm.
Yeah. And
Like we don't know, Michael.
Mm.
And again, I suppose it's the ambiguity of that, Michael, that kind of chills us
yeah,
to the bone, as it were.
I get it. And I'm not like
Um,
criticizing this as a bad production because it's a good production, and I do like I like where it goes, and I like how it's done. But this one didn't frighten me or make me feel tense or even make me feel uncomfortable. I kind of sat
Yeah.
watching this going, oh, the bloody sky is falling down, is it?
So Mick had a ponderance
Yeah,
while
yeah.
he was watching this one,
Yeah,
ladies
yeah,
and gentlemen. And that's what happened there. But yeah. So I mean, look, it's not traditional horror, but it is quite good. It's quite unnerving, but it wouldn't be one you'd stick on at Halloween.
Exactly. Fucking next.
Yeah. So next is one that you might stick on at
know.
Halloween, Michael, is The Chair.
Yeah. Ben, didn't like this one.
yeah.
Here's why. It's too fucking long.
Go on.
It's too fucking long.
It's too fucking
This
long.
isn't a fucking short. That's not to say it's not good, but this is just a short horror film. This is not a horror
Yeah.
short.
Yeah, it loses. So this is written and directed by a guy called Curry Baker. It was brought out in 2023, and the main character in this one is Reese.
There's a chair.
There's a chair. That's the other main character, and this is a chair. And it does that great thing, Michael. And I think it probably a true line for a lot of these, Michael, is how relatable they are, how human and experienced they are. Because that's the real horror, Michael, is when a mundane moment takes a sinister turn. Walking your dog, for example.
Yeah, you meet a German fella.
Or meeting a German man.
Yeah.
Terrifying stuff. But this, Michael, is that most American of pastimes that I see on TikTok all the time. Oh my God, I just found this chair. Can you believe this was outside somebody's apartment? And then they take it into their own home.
Yeah.
Don't be doing that.
Why are you leaving rubbish on the side of the street, Americans? Bring it to the municipal
Fuck's sake,
dump.
lads. Use a bin.
Put it in the bin.
Fly tipping. You're getting loads of trouble here for that, Michael. No fly tipping. Get away with it.
Yeah, no.
But come here to
Bring
me.
it down to Ballymount civic recycling facilities.
There's a link below in the description, ladies and gentlemen, if you need a map.
Well, good, all right.
To do that. But Michael, speaking
What?
of reviewing Ballymount Municipal Waste Facility,
Yes, go on.
if you've made it this far in this bloody episode, you probably like us. You really, really like
Yeah,
us.
yeah,
So do
yeah.
you know what people could do?
Give us a review, is it?
Give us a review, yeah. Stave off the horrors of the mundane for myself and Michael on a Tuesday morning, and give us a review wherever you listen.
Give us
Go on.
Go on, do it, or else we'll haunt your chair. Benjamin, I'm going to speed through the chair a little bit. I hope you don't mind.
Go on.
It's not to say
Go
it's
on,
not
lash.
beautifully crafted. It is beautifully crafted. This is a good.
Yeah, it's nice.
This is a good low budget horror film, but it is not what we were saying earlier about that condensed single idea handing over of a nightmare. This is a horror film in 3 acts, just 3 short acts. But it does have one of the best spooks I've ever seen, which is about midway through when Claire and Zelius, or whatever the hell his name is, wake up in the middle of the night.
Reese.
Reese, yeah. What did I say? Zelius?
Yes. Yeah. Classic.
Classic American name. Hey guys, my name is Zelius
Zelius.
Johnson.
I just found this chair on the side of the road, guys.
Oh, Zelius, you got to stop bringing all this
Zelius.
trash into our abode. That's how Americans speak.
What a find, guys. What a find.
Anyway, Benjamin,
yeah, but anyway,
Zelius-
sorry, jump scare. Give me a scare, Michael.
Bah, Zelius and Claire wake up, and there's a man on the fucking chair, and that
There
is instant real world horror of holy fuck,
Yeah.
I've just woken up, there's an old man sitting on the chair 2 or 3 foot from me. That would scare the fucking shit out of
terrifying.
me. And Claire, I think the woman's name is Claire, I've assumed it is, she looked like a Claire.
Yeah, I think it's Claire.
She starts screaming on the top of her lungs, which is exactly the right reaction when you wake up and there's an old man casually sitting on a chair in your room. And then
Correct.
she does the best bit of this whole short. She instantly changes from screaming into a creepy smile and goes back to sleep. And the actress who plays Claire, 11 out of 10 horror acting.
Yeah, nailed it. Nailed it.
The rest of it,
Awful
the
stuff.
whole possession subplot and the time traveling subplot and the losing your mind subplot, it's all right. It's not bad, but it's not a horror short. It's a horror film.
24 minutes, Michael.
Yeah.
Too much of a commitment. for me.
I would have loved this if it was the intro scene and then the chair scene. Then they got me.
Yeah. Just do that.
Yeah.
Just do that. Oh, I used to get that sometimes, Michael. I sometimes get that when I'm just coming out of sleep or drifting off to sleep, in that kind of in-between state of waking and sleeping. But I get mild hallucinations. And the worst one I ever got, not an old man in a chair, but I was on a night train from I was interrailing, and I was on a night train,
course you were.
and I was just drifting off on a bunk. And I swear to Christ, Michael, in that semi-waking state, there was a tiny fucking face that lifted up to the side of the bunk and looked at me, and it was a pale white little ghost girl, and I fucking flipped my shit and fucking woke up, and I was like, the fucking heebie, fucking cunt. It scared the shit out
Benjamin,
of me, Michael.
That exact same
Yeah.
thing happened to me, but then I married her. Anyway, look. Next.
Speaking
Yeah.
of things that are there when the lights go out.
Oh, very good. Now, Benjamin, we've talked about the short film Lights Out because we reviewed
have.
the feature-length version of this, Lights Out,
Yeah.
about 5 years
Yeah.
ago, 6 years ago, on this very
Yeah.
podcast.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I'm absolutely certain we've talked about this short before. Who did it again? What's his name? David Zaslav?
David F. Sandberg, Michael, is his name.
Yeah.
He did Shazam, sure.
Yeah. Like,
Where are you coming up with these names, Michael?
I think
Fucking
that's,
Ray Bradbury circus master names, Zelius and Zaslav.
I think
Fucking
David
hell.
Zaslav is a Warner Brothers executive, isn't he?
It sounds like, Michael, the sinister circus that comes to town in a Ray Bradbury
It
adaptation.
does, actually.
Starring fucking Charles Dance
Very
as
good.
the ringmaster.
Ben, anyway,
Zelius and Zaslav.
David F.
Yeah.
Sandberg from Shazam. He did Shazam. And this was
He
kind
did
of
Shazam,
this was
the good one, not the shit one.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
and this was his big break. And this is the epitome, Ben, of horror shorts, to my mind.
This guy's a master of them. He has.
You're just going to let that
he
slide,
has
are you? You're
three-
going to let it slide that I've said epitome instead of epitome.
I didn't want to call you out on it, Michael, because I never know what the correct way to say it is, and I didn't want to be mean, Michael. It's your job to call me out when I say things wrong for comedic
Oh, very
effect.
good.
It's not my job to call you
Fair
out
enough.
for
then.
comedic
So
effect.
anyway, this is the epitome
Yeah.
of a horror short.
Yeah, nice.
3
Yeah.
3 minutes.
No, it is. Yeah,
30
2
seconds
minutes,
setup.
42 seconds of fucking terror.
No dialogue.
Oh.
Watch it in any language. Fabulous setup, Benjamin. The setup scene where the woman is turning the lights on and off, trying to figure out if there's something there, incredible. Her reaction, fabulous. Her reaction, which you can't do in a horror film, because she just runs away and hides under the covers. The most realistic reaction I've ever seen in a horror short. Doesn't work in a full-length feature film, because then she gets killed.
No.
And like,
Yeah.
the full-length feature film version of this starts incredibly by doing this short again, and then just does a standard monster movie about the lights and the dark and curses and all the rest of that jazz.
Which is fine, because get that bag, David F. Sandberg,
Yeah.
also known as Pony Smasher on YouTube. But he has, Michael, his top 4 videos are all shorts, and there's not one of them over 4 minutes or 3 minutes and 15 seconds.
Great.
They're all amazing. Lights Out is the most famous one. That's 18 million views from 10 years ago, Michael. But he has 3 other ones. He has Cam Closer, which is about a woman who can see a haunting through her smartphone in her apartment.
Very good.
Same actress as Lights Out. I believe that's his partner, but I don't want to say that with any great conviction. But it's the same actress in every short. She plays the victim. This poor woman is constantly haunted. The other one is Closet Space, and it's about a monster that appears in a closet when you open and close the door.
Oh, that's
like an old magician's trick.
Sounds familiar.
And then there's another one called Coffer, where there's a chest that suddenly appears in the woman's room. She hears sounds coming from in it, and when she finally goes to investigate, it gets her and it pulls her into the
Classic
fucking thing.
David F.
Great.
Sandberg spooky monster. Anyway, Benjamin, what's next?
The next one, Michael, is one that I came across that didn't come across from any of these other ones. It's quite a recent one. It's called Make Me a Sandwich.
Gas.
And there's a little bit of comedy to kick this off, in the sense of it being ludicrously over the top. So this came out 4 years ago, Michael, and it is a short in every sense because it's only 3 minutes long, Michael.
Great stuff.
Great stuff. And it's kind of we made a little joke there earlier on, Michael, about 70s kind of misogynistic comedy.
Yeah.
Where we said, women, ha, I hate my wife, ha. Classic stuff, Michael. But this is also leveraging that awful dynamic of essentially a beaten down woman, Michael, who is forced to serve just a ludicrously over the top, vile man who roars at her. It's set up in a great way, Michael. It's essentially 2 shots on repeat, 3 technically. First shot is the caricature of an abusive husband screaming for a sandwich in front of the telly.
Yeah, like Red Foreman.
The second shot is the woman reacting to this fucking demand in her what I can only describe as a sweatshop.
Yeah, her little knitting cubby hole where she hides
her little knitting station where she's just trying to be calm. And the third is the making of the sandwich in the kitchen. And those are the 3 shots. And I have to say, Michael, these are interchangeably put together in the best fucking way. I think this is brilliant in, again, the simple breakdown of how to do this well. I love this. I think it's really, really good. I think it's a good example. It's by the YouTube channel Deformed Lunchbox, Michael.
The Lunchbox is deformed because there's cat shit in it.
Yeah, because there's cat shit in it. So Michael's just giving you the kind of thing. She gets stretched by this demand, constant demand. And you can see her fraying. The actress does a great job of portraying kind of the unraveling of her own psyche, Michael. And she slowly begins to fuck with the sandwich, as you would, I suppose.
Yeah.
After years of emotional terror. And it gets worse and worse and worse. And it progresses from a little bit of castor oil thrown in there to cat shit to broken glass.
I thought that was washing up liquid.
And it was washing up liquid. You're absolutely right, Michael. It's washing up liquid. And my favorite bit of this, Michael, is, of course, the last second jump scare, which is not only has this poor woman been driven mad, but she's gone fully mad.
Yeah.
And her husband has been dead for what looks like years.
Well,
he's a desiccated corpse.
Months, I'd say.
Months. And there's just a pile of rotten sandwiches in front of him. And of course, the thing is, she's been driven mad. The horror she's living in is a hell of her own making. and she's just reliving the emotional torment she went through
Yeah.
when he was
I
alive.
don't know if it's her
Um,
own making, it's of his making.
It's of his making, but she's just been driven
Yeah.
mad.
It's kind of ambiguous
It's
if she
great.
killed him or not, which I like.
Yeah, he could have just died from roaring, and it's kind of hinted at a little bit, I think, that, you know, he's an unwell man, or he's stressed, or, you know, his heart might have given out, but I think she probably killed
She
him.
might have
Michael.
killed him, Ben. Benjamin, as someone who's accidentally bitten into glass, this was a horrifying watch.
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it was not pleasant. Not a
I'm
pleasant
so
experience to accidentally eat glass. So the blood coming out of the mouth was very unpleasant.
Yeah, no, it was awful.
Ben,
It was
we've
awful.
got 2 more to go. Let's give them
yeah.
2 minutes each because we've got other things to do.
Dos minutos each. These are 2 simple ones, Michael, that I threw in. Or, well, one you sent to me and one I threw on to us. Another one, 3 minutes and 42. Dead Horse. It's an animated horror short because we wanted to go for a little bit of diversion in the old running order. And it's called Dead Horse, Michael. And it taps into that Nathaniel Hawthorne thing of don't go down in the deep, dark woods because there's something there a-lurking.
Benjamin, this has a slight animation style vibe of Irish studio Cartoon Saloon.
Oh, there's big Cartoon Saloon vibes there from the lads over at Dead Horse.
Isn't there? A little bit. There's a little bit of the vibes, Benjamin. There's a little bit of the
absolutely
the Selkie. There's a little bit of the Children of whatever it's called, the Book of Magic.
Yeah.
Book of Kells.
So this is by this is by an illustrator known as Rotating Sock.
Oh yeah.
And she is an illustrator based in London. I'm trying to find her actual name. Probably should have done that before the podcast, Michael. She doesn't actually give her actual name, Michael.
Well, then it's none of our fucking business.
She is a spooky wolf enjoyer, Michael. And a lot of her art is based on spooky wolfy boys and girls. But this is quite a beautiful animation in its horror. It's very fluid. It moves very well. And it is, to my mind, an interpretation of the Wendigo myth from First Nations mythology in the United States.
Is it? Is it?
I thought so.
Go on.
I thought so.
Go on.
There's a big evil creature in the woods, and it's devouring things. And it's a spirit of blight and starvation and things like that. I thought. This is how I interpreted it, Michael. And it's chewing things up in the forest. It's also very metaphorical, Michael, by the looks of it. You know, there's a white wolf, there's a pack of black wolves, there's the call of family saving the white wolf at the end of it. But the reason I included this, Michael, is, again, very creepy soundscape.
Very creepy soundscape.
Very eerie. Yeah. Very creepy soundscape and very horrific imagery. I thought the stripped down skeleton dogs were fucking awful.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is dogs and horses don't have the same skeleton. So when they get stripped down, everything gets stripped down to the skeleton of a dead horse rather than a dead wolf or a dead rabbit or a dead crow, which is like, it's an interesting imagery choice. The actual big demon in this, it's got real Aku from Samurai Jack vibes.
There's big Samurai Jack vibes to the whole thing.
There really are.
Big Samurai Jack vibes.
And yeah, look, I love the idea of a horror sans humans. That's my favorite thing about this. It's a horror told entirely through animals.
Yeah, no. And it does a good job, Michael. I think it's suitably eerie for a quick 3-minute watch.
Yeah, I don't know if it counts fully as a horror, though, because the goodies win.
Yes, they do win in the end, Michael. Well, they survive. I don't know if they win.
Well, they get rid of that demon, they kick him in the ass, and they chuck him into the river, and the power of friendship and family overcomes the death, essentially.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, all right. I'll give you that, Michael. Go on.
Anyway, Benjamin, speaking of absolute fucking horrors, have you ever seen Bosco?
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Bosco is just something that we put upon children here in Ireland.
Yeah.
He talks like this, boys and girls.
I think he's
awful.
Bosco's gender ambiguous.
But Bosco is gender. They talk like this, boys and girls. And that's how they talk.
Reasonable. That's a pretty accurate Bosco. Anyway, your friend and mine, Sean Norchard, sent me this, Ben. This is a short, again, to circle back around to where we started, it's a short, fake, found media footage thing. Very Candy Cove, which we've talked about on this podcast
Candy Cove
many times before. The classic here is a bit of cursed media, a bit of terrifying children's entertainment, which has resurfaced
Yeah.
and is horrific.
Yeah.
And what's great about this is it's very Bosco, which is a very Irish thing, and it's very the Pooka, which is an Irish mythology thing. Benjamin, we've got 2 minutes left to talk about this. You tell us what the Pooka is and why this is spooky.
So the Pooka itself, Michael, is a mischievous. It depends on which story you're listening to, but it is a shape-shifting being in Irish folklore that can take the form of a few different things. Generally speaking, it'll either be a horse, a goat, or a hare.
Go on.
And the way you know it's a Pooka is because it'll be jet white.
Like this.
Say again?
Jet is a substance, Benjamin. Jet is a substance which is very black. That's where the expression jet black comes from. Can't just say
I say what I've done.
Jet white.
What do you call them again? Is that a spoonerism? Where I've done that? Where I've butchered two?
Is it?
Shockingly white.
Okay, yeah.
Shockingly white. But this isn't quite that. But they are quite sinister in Irish myth and folklore. Don't fuck with Pookas.
No.
It's not going to end well.
No.
They blight crops. They do all kinds of terrible things. But this, Michael, is something else because it taps into Irish children's programming. Because, Michael, back in the day, Ireland wanted to create its own Sesame Street. Ireland wanted its own version of the Muppets. But what we got instead was...
One zig and zag.
And I would imagine that Bosco unintentionally scarred quite a few weans.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Including the gang responsible for this.
Yeah, so what I like about this, Michael, is it works on multiple levels. First of all, aesthetically, it is straight out of that. Secondly, it takes the tropes of Bosco, the red moppy hair, the kind of bouncy arm movements and things like that, and it just makes them slightly sinister. It just stretches them to an uncomfortable degree. Then, what I really like about this is, Michael, they keep tagging RTE Jr. in the social media stuff, and it looks like it's a collaboration with RTE Jr. RTE Jr. is a children's programming division of RTE here, Michael, the national broadcaster, even though it's not. It comes from Die House Films, and it was sent to us by our good pal Sean Northridge, and it's fucking awful.
Benjamin, are you sure this isn't in collaboration with RTE Jr.? I think it might be.
Oh, it is. Wait, hang on.
I think it actually genuinely is. I think they might be making a short film about finding this tape.
Yeah, because it says Kevin loves watching old TV shows until they start watching back.
Yeah.
Michael, this is awful. Why aren't we watching this?
I don't think it's out yet, but it's fabulous.
It comes out October 13th. Oh, Michael, we're going to have to fucking watch this.
Great stuff all together, Benjamin.
Great stuff.
Fucking great talk about horror shorts. But you know what's something we won't be watching? Joker, Flop A Jew. Benjamin, Joker 2 has either shockingly underperformed at the box office or, to nobody's surprise, underperformed at the box office because of the worst film that's ever been released.
I don't know if this is a failure of expectation.
Go on,
Michael. So I think the tricky part of making a film that glorifies incels or panders to a particular audience of dangerously unbalanced people at the best of times.
Oh, I don't know about this, Benjamin. I think you have taken one particular narrative that revolves around this film.
Fine. You tell me then.
I'm just saying that I don't think that this film glorifies incels, and Joker 1 doesn't glorify incels. I understand that's a criticism people might have of it, but I absolutely don't think that's what it is for.
I think perhaps, Michael, what has happened here is they accidentally created a folk hero that they didn't want to create.
Possibly, yes.
And perhaps the original Joker movie was supposed to be a critique of society and its treatment of the mentally ill, not unlike The Short Strangers. But unfortunately, due to the rapidly declining rates of media literacy, Michael, in the world, it got taken up wrong. And people, as they often do with the Joker, because we've seen this happen time and time again, Michael, people resonated with the Joker and began to treat him as though he were a protagonist as opposed to just a character.
Right. But look, hot take, first of all.
Yeah.
That's a tiny percentage of people. The first Joker movie
Go on.
earned more than $1.1 billion at the box office. That wasn't
It did very well.
that wasn't $1.1 billion of incels.
No,
Practically
it wasn't.
everyone I know saw the Joker in the cinema. Anyone with an interest in cinema, or anyone with an interest in modern pop culture, saw Joker in the cinema. So, sure, certain subcultures latched onto it as a hero, as they always do. As they did with Catcher in the Rye, as they did with fucking Heathers, as Annie.
Heathers.
Yeah, exactly. Anytime you make a character who's supposed to be a bad role model, some people will take it as a good role model, but they are always a minority. And I don't think that's why this sequel has flopped. This sequel has flopped because it's from Todd Phillips, who directed The Hangover, but also The Hangover 2, which is
and 3
legendary diminishing returns.
Can't follow through.
I think he even did The Hangover 3. Benjamin, this guy is diminishing returns the director.
Todd can't see it through Phillips. That's what they call it.
Also, this should never have got a sequel.
No, it didn't need one.
Didn't need one. Not only didn't need one, having a sequel undermines it. I haven't seen this film, so I can't offer any criticism of the film itself. But everyone I know who's seen it has fucking hated it.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a complete tonal shift from what I understand, Michael. It's a complete reframing of Arthur as a character. And I think it's a complete shifting of protagonists. So that's complex because, for better or worse, a lot of people assume when they're going to watch a Joker movie that the Joker, even though it's a bastardized, strange, elongated version of the Joker, it's very odd. They're assuming he's going to be the focus or the hero, and I don't want to call him a hero, but apparently this film does not follow that through. It's a very different type of film this time, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, I know everything what happens in it because I've sat down and listened to multiple people complain about it. But I don't think that's the problem, because just people don't want to go and see it. They've no interest in it. This is a failure to read the room. This is a failure to, read the feckin' tea leaves and go, if we make a sequel to this, it's not going to resonate. People don't want it.
Yeah.
Like, sequels generally perform better than in the box office than their originals, even if it's a bit of a spurt and then it drops off in the end. But this has made less than half of the opening of the first one on a budget that was 4 times as much. Like, this is Hollywood failure writ large.
Yeah. Just give it up, Hollywood.
Well,
go start talking to some of the lads that did the shorts.
Yeah, Benjamin, if only there was a way for Hollywood to kind of try and predict these sort of things.
If only, Michael. If only. Oh, wait. Do you know what they could do, Michael?
What?
They could get a Gansey load of super fans, Michael. Definitely unbiased, critical, and very, very aware of what makes good cinema.
Yeah.
And they could get them all in a room together, Michael.
Oh, who's reporting this, Benjamin? Is it the reliable bastion of internet reporting, Variety magazine?
Variety magazine's everyone's favourite news source outside of ourselves, Michael. Sure, look, sure, listen.
The podcast that sometimes reports the news but sometimes forgets. Ben, so what we're hearing is Hollywood are toying with the idea of bringing in superfan think tanks to try and preempt this kind of backlash against the likes of Joker Foile. They keep using pictures in these articles from the Marvels as well, but no one actually mentions the Marvels. But Hollywood reporters just throw the Marvels in as another example of a famous superhero flop.
Yeah, so this article kicks off, Michael. We've linked it down below in the description, ladies and gentlemen. You can have a read of it yourselves. You can take a look at it there. But this article, Michael, is centered around the, what would we call it?
Go on.
the backlash that the Acolyte, the strange Star Wars prequel, received. That's the framing device for this article. And it then kind of talks about toxic fandoms, and it gives a few different examples. House of the Dragon, The Last of Us, and things like that. And it focuses on episodes that maybe break the social norm. For example, the lauded dramatically episode where we get Ron Swanson in a relationship with a man in The Last of Us. And it says that the backlash generally comes from 1 or 2 episodes. Now, Amanda Steinelberg, who was the lead actress in The Acolyte, she played 2 characters.
Yeah, twins.
She has said that there was an abrupt decision by Lucasfilms not to make a second season because of the right-wing backlash against her show. To which I would say, no, your show just wasn't that good and didn't get picked up. But anyway,
fucking rubbish.
It's fucking rubbish. That might have something to do with it. But no, apparently what they're doing now is they're doing focus groups, Michael, with fans to try and... What is it they're trying to do, Michael? Explain this.
They're trying to get super nerds in and say, hey, what's the backlash against this going to be? It's women, isn't it? You guys hate women, isn't it? Do you hate women or do you hate foreign people? What about foreign women? Lesbians. You hate lesbians, don't you? So they're bringing nerds in and saying, what about this do you hate? So that they can ignore that and make it anyway? I don't know.
But it's bizarre to me, Michael. It's the equivalent of getting a bunch of racists into a room and going, what is it about immigrants you don't like?
No, it's not.
Like,
you see, that's the thing. The Acolyte has women of color in lead roles. It has space lesbians. But also it fundamentally changes aspects of the Jedi and the Sith, and also it's rubbish. So there's
it's shit.
There's 5 things people could be upset about. You could have homophobes. You could have misogynists. You could have racists. You could have Star Wars Jedi purists. You can have
whatever you have in yourself.
Original trilogy purists. You can have people who like things that are competently made. You can have people who enjoy storytelling. And all of those people can team up to say, God, the Acolyte was shite, wasn't it? And you could be sitting down over a coffee going, fuck, that Acolyte was rubbish, wasn't it? And your mate goes, oh, I've never seen fucking worse. What did you hate about it? And then you say, I fucking hated how they took all of the established lore of how the Force works and how it interacts with the Jedi, and they just muddled it all up and made the Jedi seem like the baddies. What did you not like about it? Black women on my screen.
It's not quite the same.
You know what I mean?
Not quite the same.
Racists can hate it, and people who want good storytelling can hate it. And the worst thing that the producers can do is say, if you don't like this, you're a racist.
Or the lead actress of the series.
Well, but this is the thing, right? Every bit of... First of all, stop making everything sequels and prequels. Make new shit that's good. But let's assume that that's...
All I want.
Let's assume that's impossible, right? Let's assume that that's impossible. And they have to keep making sequels and prequels and spin-offs, right? Yeah. It's going to be hated. And time will tell if it stands up. The sands of time have turned kindly on the prequel series. The Star Wars prequels. They are now remembered in the same way the originals were, through frosted, rose-tinted glasses of childhood nostalgia. And they are now beloved. And Hayden Christensen is lauded as, oh, he was my childhood Anakin. And people love Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi. And they love Yoda flipping around the place. The sands of time have been kind. And you know what they didn't do in the 2000s? They didn't get Samuel L. Jackson on social media responding to the haters.
Yeah.
They didn't get fucking Natalie Portman going on Saturday Night Live and calling anyone who didn't like the prequels a misogynist. So the worst thing about this is, if you make a rubbish show and then you say, if you don't like this, you're a misogynist, Every fucking misogynist within 100 square miles, their ears prick up and they go, oh, is there something to be a misogynist about? Fucking lovely.
Oh,
Fucking lovely.
Dabby doozy, boys.
Haven't had a go at a woman in fucking days. Haven't even seen one.
Hours, but yeah.
Which is, either how I like it or the root cause of this. So
it's probably not how they like it.
No, you never fucking know, Ben.
It's a survey.
You never know. It could be the way they like it, or
survey,
it could be the
9 out of 10
But anyway, look,
misogynists.
get fucking Hollywood off social media. If your movie is shit, take your licks and let the sands of time decide whether people will remember it fondly.
Yeah. Just stop giving people access to fucking Twitter.
Stop
fucking X.
creating the fucking feedback
Spotify.
loop. There'll always be fans who hate whatever you do. Benjamin, some of the comments we get on our shorts, if we started responding to them, we'd go mad.
Oh.
We would absolutely go mad.
No, we would.
And that's what's happening to Hollywood. Hollywood is eating itself by trying to disprove tiny vocal minorities, most of whom are probably fucking teenage trolls who think it's funny.
Little troll boys. Little troll boys.
Anyway,
and
fuck
girls.
it, Ben. That's the end of this
And
episode.
girls.
It's too long.
Oh, Michael, we fucking slogged through this one. Come here.
What?
Come here.
What?
I really enjoyed the first part of this episode, Michael. We did a great job.
Yeah,
Good
I
job.
fucking hate all
Good
that
job.
talk about the Joker, though, and fucking toxic fandoms.
Yeah, but we have to put that on. That's why we've switched around the format. We do the main topic first.
Good idea.
Bit of fucking joy. Bit of fucking joy.
Joy first.
But come here to me.
What?
Michael, come here to me. If
What?
everybody else enjoyed this, sure, fucking, it's time to give us a review and it's time to follow us wherever you fucking listen. If you've made it an hour, 21 minutes, and 3 seconds into this goddamn episode, you like us, right? Or you hate us, but either way, you're obsessed with us. You're gonna have to subscribe or listen or do
whatever.
something, right? There's a few different ways you can do that. You can find us on the interwebs at www.seanrebeag.com, SEOMORABEAG.com.
We should do something with that website, Ben, if we're going to keep saying it, because it's rubbish.
No, I just like doing it as a mnemonic pattern.
Yeah,
now,
it's good.
Michael. It's kind of a rhythm that I've put in.
Website's rubbish.
But ladies and gentlemen, there's a website that we actually keep updated called www.sherlockshirelistenpodcast.acast.com.
Much less catchy.
Much less catchy, but it is up there. Ladies and gentlemen, you can follow us on Instagram at sherlockshirelistenpodcast.
Go on.
You can follow us on TikTok at sherlockshirelisten.
That's probably where you found us.
It's probably where you found us. Let's be honest. Let's call a spade here, gang. And then, ladies and gentlemen, you can also find us on YouTube. You can subscribe to us down there. There'll be some sort of article on Substack about us. You can follow our Substack down below with the link in the description.
Don't know what that is.
And you can find our Cursed Shorts playlist down below in the description, as well as some of the articles we talked about in this very episode. If, for some reason, you haven't had enough of us this week, we have brought back the award-winning In My Dreams podcast, Collecting Issues, your monthly comic book club.
You said that better than you did on the Collecting Issues that we recorded yesterday.
On the Collecting Issues. Ladies and gentlemen, we took a look at All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison, Frank Quitely, and Jamie Grant from the DC Comics label. We looked at issues 1 to 12 of that. It's up there now. It's linked below in the description. You can give that a listen in the background wherever you listen, and follow us on all our socials over there as well. But ladies and gentlemen, if you want to contribute to this podcast and vote on shorts and things like that, the best place to do that is to hop up on the Discord that we have down below, where you can give us all your thoughts, ideas, feedback from this week's episode and beyond.
What are we doing
and
next
beyond.
week, Ben?
Now, Michael, next week we're bringing back our award-winning, yet again in my dreams, segment, the quintessential, Michael.
Oh, is that next
where we'll
week
be looking
already?
at-
Fuck me, sideways.
next week already, Michael.
Oh, wow.
I know. It's exhausting. Never ends. Now, Michael, I think we said we'd do it on the Twilight Zone, did we?
We did, yeah, that's what we're doing.
We did, yeah. We're doing it on the Twilight Zone. Both old school 1950s Rod Sterling version. Sterling?
Rod Sirloin.
Rod Sirloin. So Rod Striploin. We're doing it on that one. Rod Stewart's Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
And or the more recent iteration from young Jordan Peele.
Yeah, and the 80s, 90s one.
horror
Don't forget the middle one.
Oh, I forgot about the 80s and 90s one, Michael. From that broad swathe of pop culture treasure troving. We want to hear what you think the 5 quintessential episodes of that series are. That is not the best episodes of the Twilight Zone. That's not what I want to know.
No, that's not it.
Not what I want to know, Michael. What do I want to know, Michael?
You want to know the 5 most Twilight Zone-y episodes of the Twilight Zone.
You're damn right I do. I want the episodes that capture the very soul, the classic rug pulls, Michael. Oh, finally, I'm the only man left alive on the planet, and I'm in a library here, and I can read to my heart's content. Oh no! I've stood on my own glasses.
All the books are blank.
All the books are blank, Dan.
It was hell all along.
Oh my God, society was the real monster.
Yeah, exactly. The 5 most Twilight Zone episodes of all time. We're not counting the movie.
That's what we're not counting. Get out of
Don't
here.
come at us with the
Not
movie. We're
counting
doing
the
TV
movie.
series.
The quintessential is about TV series.
Yeah.
But ladies and gentlemen, go on, give us your vote. You'll see it up on the socials there. Follow along. Find out when we're going to do them. And let us know what they are. That's it from us this week, ladies and gentlemen. This is a massive episode,
Fucking
Michael.
wrap it
Fuck's
up.
sake, goodbye.
Wrap it fucking up.
Jesus.